It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ed, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Want to remind you about University of Utah Health. At University of Utah Health, hope is in our DNA. Learn more at uofuhealth.org. Time for the top 3 stories of the day. KSLSports.com, brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. All right, Christian, where do you want to start today?
Number one, I had to check to make sure that this was not NBA Central. This was from NBA Central, but it seems to be confirmed that Adam Silver's disgust with the tanking stems from gambling companies.
Ben Golliver, who wrote the book Bubble Ball, a gift from my friend Jake Scott, gave me one time, is a longtime NBA reporter. And yes, he's reporting that part of the recent push for fines, which Adam Silver did address over the weekend in his All-Star availability, has to do with the fury around some over-unders and prop bets from gambling companies.
I think maybe we need to have a bigger conversation about Adam Silver. I'm sure you guys really hit it home.
Laid into him, yeah.
Last week. I thought his comments on everything he talked about were entirely insufficient.
Yep. He's completely lost it.
Well,
in my opinion.
This is maybe the bigger, did he ever have it?
He may not have.
Has he ever had it? Because say what you will about some other commissioners, they were not flawless, but they were fierce in their...
They had a vision, at the very least.
Right. Like Roger Goodell is pure evil.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt that he's good at his job.
Right. And it might be evil for the good of the sport.
Right. Making horrible judgments and decisions about horrible things, but there's no doubt that the NFL is on a trajectory that is successful.
Yeah, and it teams with the quality of the product continuing to improve. The problem with the NBA is regularly the product feels to be getting worse. And Adam Silver, while making everybody around him far more money, which is probably why he continues to have a job, he's made everybody extraordinarily wealthy who's involved in the NBA, but the product is getting less and less enjoyable.
David Stern, I think, was a fairly dishonest person. A bit of a strong man, but he was really good at it. He was really good at running the league. I don't think Adam Silver is any of that.
Nope.
I don't think David Stern would ever be manipulated by anybody, let alone a gambling company, which I would 1,000%. Well, Sam Presti started a behind-the-scenes PR campaign against the Jazz, right? I mean, that was reported by our guy Tony Jones, right? Last week. David Stern would never be bent by any of that stuff.
Who's twisting your arm, Adam Silver?
Yeah, right.
A single owner?
And
or
you're
a GM, I should say.
And you're just giving in, you know? And I would beg the question, well, let's move on, but I wouldn't mind coming back to this. Give me a thing that Adam Silver's done in his tenure that has been a good decision or a good policy or a good anything. And I can think of one example, and maybe we can come up with others. But as far as I'm concerned, the pool of good decisions by Adam Silver is super shallow.
He got very lucky this weekend, which leads us into number 2.
Well, how did you guys like the All-Star weekend?
The weekend itself was awful, but Sunday was good. Sunday was the most watchable All-Star game we've had in a very long time. And if you didn't pay attention, it's because it's been bad for a long time. But we had 3 teams, 2 Team United States rosters, or rosters made up of players from the United States, and an international roster. And they came out, and because each game is only 12 minutes long, it's not an Elam ending. It's just 12 minutes. Everyone really played hard for 12 minutes. And, the next game went on, they played hard for 12 minutes. There was only one bad game of the 4 that were played, and it was the final because it ended up being a blowout. But the first 3 were legitimately very fun to watch, and the players were trying hard, and one of them was decided on a buzzer beater. One of them went to overtime. These guys were really out there playing hard, and that took a lot of heat off of Adam Silver this weekend because he had such a bad week.
Long term, I don't think any sort of all-star performance will take the heat off Adam Silver. But again, that's back to our previous conversation. Let me ask you this. Do you think it's sustainable?
No, I don't. No.
Do you think in the same format the players come back next year and give the same performance?
No, absolutely not.
I don't either.
No, because it's not going to surprise anybody. Everyone, I think, was a little surprised. Wemby came out and played hard, so it worked a little bit, and they thought, oh, that's fun. We'll go out and compete for this game, and okay, and then it just kind of rolled into the second game, and then randomly, and again, there's some randomness because it's such a small sample size. The third quarter, which is the third game, I believe it was this one, Kawhi Leonard just went bananas. He had 25 of the 38 points. He caught fire. It was at Intuit Dome. It was kind of the perfect recipe. It was the beleaguered star who that team thinks the league is trying to come after him to void his contract. Adam Silver had to address it earlier in the day. He comes out, lights the world on fire. That part of it, was the magical randomness of it that can make it fun, where if it didn't have that, we might have been talking about how, the first two games were fun and the last two were terrible, and that totally changes the conversation.
So this cat isn't quite as fat and worthless as, say, what is it called? Elam ending?
Elam ending, yeah.
Cat in the wall, eh?
Which was the dumbest idea ever hatched, ever. It's confusing. It didn't do anything. It didn't cause anybody to play any harder.
It didn't fix anything,
It was
certainly.
so dumb
Yeah.
that if you're telling me that this was less dumb than that, sure. But it's still a gimmick, and I don't think that they can replicate it. I would say still just make it an NBA convention and get rid of the game entirely. The most funny thing about the weekend to me was that they changed the time of everything that happened on Saturday, and nobody even noticed.
Nobody knew. Yeah.
Nobody knew. Nobody, I found it hilarious. Even media covering the event was like, well, I didn't show up because I thought it was, later in the day when it normally is. And I do think it's funny the NBA getting bumped for the Olympics. And why would NBC carry the Olympics and the NBA All-Star Game? There are other NBA partners. Why don't you kick the can to ESPN this year and then
bring
carry
it back next year.
That made. Now, there's probably a very good reason for that, I suppose, but that made zero sense to me. Although the NBA All-Star Game did post its best rating number in years, but that's because its lead-in was the Olympics, and it still lost 65% of the audience from the Olympics.
Right.
So, I don't know. The NBA can take a victory lap over All-Star break if it really wants, but I still think it's as worthless as it's been for 15 years.
Yeah, it's just not sustainable. This is the problem. What they did this year was great. It worked for a few random reasons that are not guaranteed to work next season. So, no, they have not fixed it.
And by the way, the Saturday event. All right. Now, last time the All-Star game was in Salt Lake, I was not in town. So you could tell me this. But I'm pretty sure that the Saturday event here in Salt Lake City was sold out.
Yes, it was fuller, certainly, than what we saw at Intuit Dome. I remember there was a big issue because locals wanted to go and felt like they couldn't afford it. But that was the narrative, not that nobody's going to this thing. There was nobody at All-Star Saturday.
Nobody.
It was crazy to look at the crowd.
Which is such a bad look, by the way. Just, you know what? If it's that, let people in for free at the last second or
let
whatever.
All the locals come in for $15.
Just to put butts in seats because that looked so bad.
Yeah, nobody watched it. But you're right. It was on Valentine's Day, and everything started at 2:15 local. It was crazy. It was very weird.
They didn't even market it well.
Yeah, I get it. People want to be able to watch on the East Coast at a somewhat reasonable hour, but you sold out everybody in that city.
Oh, they did it for the Olympics.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why they did it.
You're right. So
All
you
right.
get back to primetime viewing. You're right.
What's next?
Number 3, Clayton Keller made his Olympic debut over the weekend. Here are his thoughts on that.
Lots of, excitement, butterflies. So, I think my energy was there, even though, it's haven't skated a whole lot. So I actually felt, pretty good and just tried to, keep it simple, do all the little things right, learn our systems quickly. And the guys made it, super easy for me to come in and, just always helping me out and, giving me confidence, I guess.
USA wins Group C by beating Germany 5-1. No points from Clayton Keller, but yeah, he looked like he was having a great time on the bench and out there and joking around. I don't see him smile that much during Mammoth games, and he had a huge grin on his face during this game.
Can I ask you this dumb question?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll explain the reason I'm asking a dumb question. But my dumb question is, how are they playing? And the reason I have no idea is because that mouse actively policed Winter Olympic conversation, or they would not show it on their televisions. I was totally dialed out of the Olympics because Mickey himself was walking around. If you were like, hey, what happened in the bobsled? That mouse threw you right off.
In the water.
The Olympics, as far on the Disney Wish, the Olympics were not happening.
That's crazy. They're playing fine. They have had a lot of slow starts, including they were down in after the first period of one game. So they've played 3 games. They have not had a good start yet, and Canada is blowing everybody out. So I think there is some growing fear that Canada is significantly better than Team USA.
We'll talk to Cole Bagley about it coming up at 11:30. I did watch the pairs figure skating yesterday. I don't know if you saw this. The pair from Japan won, and it totally gave me PTSD from my wedding. Because I don't know if you saw the celebration, Christian, but the fella was absolutely crying his brains out. You could tell this was the biggest deal of his entire life. The gal, absolute robot.
Stone cold.
Didn't even smile.
Yeah.
Not a tear. People were congratulating her, and she was like, "Meh, yeah, I don't know." And then, meanwhile, the guy was like coming apart at the seams.
She's like patting him on the back, like, it's okay, buddy.
Yeah.
That was 100% me at my wedding. I mean, I'm just tear, everything. And then my wife, absolute robot.
Yeah.
She could I could be anywhere else, really.
I will say I do think Clayton Keller playing in the Olympics is really good for the Mammoth as far as people are kind of casually paying attention to the hockey team. And as a result, they're like, there's a local that you're rooting for. I do think that will help grow some of the identity. We've talked about, like, how do you make these guys stars in the community, especially when none of them have star personalities. They don't have that type of player that's going to, steal the show necessarily. They're all pretty quiet. They're all pretty reserved. Having a guy on a national or international scale play at this level is going to make some fans locally.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more coming up next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.